Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has sent a transfer warning to Manchester United, saying that we won't be very active in the summer transfer window due to the coronavirus pandemic. And he says we have to be realistic. So I'll give you some of the stuff that he actually says. Let's just go up a minute. You know, one of the things he said, of course, the lack of income, the finances has affected everyone. It might affect us all well. And then Ollie also mentioned that there are improvements on the training ground, stadium. We have to look at the whole picture. Where can we spend the money and how much is there? It's just the real world now. It has changed. And he says, I think there's just going to be less and less transfers happening in the world of football with all these changes. And obviously put all other clubs into the equation. He said all clubs in the world are going through the same situation, so it's no different for other clubs than for us. So there are a few of the things he did say. Last year, I think we lost just over £23 million due to the pandemic. So we won't be spending big in the summer transfer window. And I said, didn't I, you know, this year's summer transfer window is the biggest in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's managerial career. He needs to be backed more by the board, because I don't think the board have backed Solskjaer enough so far. Solskjaer has endured 4 transfer windows as permanent Man United manager, and he's spent over £200 million. You know, obviously brought the likes of Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka and Harry Maguire in. Also brought Bruno Fernandes in, Nodine Igalo in on loan. Igalo's no longer at the club now. And in the summer transfer window of last year, he brought Donny van der Beek in, Alex Telles, Edison Cavani, Facundo Palestri and Amad Diallo Traore. So, like I said, he's brought some good players in, but as yet, he hasn't got all the players that he wanted to recommend in. So, like I said, in that aspect, the blame stems from the board. But the board has been one of the biggest problems at the club for several years. And Woodward's come out several times to show his support for Ollie, and he did say towards the end of last year he will back him with a long-term plan centred around summer transfer windows. Woodward's been at the club since 2012, and the Glazers have been at the football club since 2005. But there has been a lot of players on our agenda. We've been relentlessly linked with Jadon Sancho and Erling Haaland. I recently give you the news on Jadon Sancho. There's obviously narratives that have been coming out saying that we are preparing to put a £50 million bid in for Sancho. One narrative said we can get him for as little as 75 million, but we are no longer the favourites. Sports Build said that we are still very, very interested in Jadon Sancho. The Athletic said different. They said we paused our transfer pursuit of Sancho due to the progress of Mason Greenwood. Borussia Dortmund's CEO recently made an admission saying that Sancho, Haaland and more Dortmund stars could be sold to avoid financial chaos. So we'd actually been given a Jadon Sancho and Erling Haaland transfer boost. Dortmund reduced their asking price for Sancho earlier on this season to £88 million, so they're not £20 million off, because last summer Jadon Sancho was our number one priority target. But we wasn't willing to meet Borussia Dortmund's 108 million valuation. Far too much. But it said a few times last summer that the personal terms had been agreed, the agent fees had been agreed, and even a contract had been agreed. But we couldn't come to an agreement on an actual fee. Dortmund made it clear to us last summer that we had until the 10th of August to sign the player. We obviously missed out on that deadline, so Sancho remained at Dortmund. He made an admission earlier on this season saying that he has enjoyed a difficult season at Dortmund. But analysing the vast majority of his career, he's been very, very consistent. This is Jadon Sancho's 4th season at Dortmund. Dortmund paid just £8 million for him from Man City back in 2017, and he's got a contract with Dortmund until 2023. Fabrizio Romano, who's a very reliable Italian journalist, and he's close to Man United, he's spoken a lot about the Sancho saga, and so too has Bild's Christian Fark. Now, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did say prior to the game against Real Sociedad that he's keeping in touch with Erling Haaland. I would love Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to sign Erling Haaland, but I don't see Haaland coming to Man United. There's been a lot of clubs in for him. Obviously, Ole knows the player well because Ole was the one that gave Erling Haaland his debut at just the age of 16 at Molde. Back in December 2019, Solskjaer and Woodward went up to Norway to meet up with Haaland to negotiate a possible move to Man United, and Solskjaer said earlier on this season that he's following Erling Haaland's progress because he made a new Erling Haaland transfer admission. If Haaland is to be sold in the summer, Dortmund will demand in the excess of at least £100 million. Next year, Haaland has a release clause of £68 million. Mini Oriola, his agent, revealed that there's only 4 Premier League clubs that can afford Erling Haaland. But since Haaland's arrival at Dortmund, he has been a revelation. He's been at Dortmund over a year. He's got a contract with Dortmund until 2024. Dortmund paid just £17 million for him. So there you go. Yesterday, I give you the news on Raphael Varane. Apparently, Real Madrid are prepared to sell Raphael Varane to Manchester United in the summer. Yeah.
Charlie, turn that off. Fucking daytime, man.
Yeah.
Open me blinds.
It's alright, just doing it for summer. But as I was saying, yeah, Real Madrid are prepared to sell Raphael Varane to Man United in the summer. He's valued at £61 million. OK Dairo recently said that Real Madrid reduced their asking price for Raphael Varane to £43 million. The AS recently said that talks over extending his deal have not settled. There's a few clubs though that are interested in Raphael Varane. Ed Woodward was prepared to sanction a £100 million move for Raphael Varane back in 2018. Varane has been a long-serving player at Real Madrid. He's been with them around 10 years. He's made over 300 appearances and he's won 18 major honours. He's won 4, including 4 Champions Leagues. He also won the World Cup. Real Madrid paid €10 million for him from Lens back in 2011. He is a centre-half, and I'd certainly take him at Man United because he'd go very well alongside Harry Maguire in our back line, and he's highly experienced. He's 27 years of age. A centre-back and a forward are the 2 priorities. Solskjaer, by the way, gave us an update on our summer transfer plans not so long ago, and he said he's only interested in bringing in players that would be a perfect fit for the club. It was a disappointing January transfer window for us because we only saw one arrival, and that was Amad Diallo Traore, but Solskjaer said a few times during the January transfer window that he wasn't expecting any signings. I think more players are going to leave Man United in the summer, so obviously in that aspect we'll generate money and it'll help us with our rebuilding process. I think there's a good chance Juan Mata will leave the football club in the summer. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said prior to the game against Sociedad that he's not surprised that Mata is linked to a move away from the club. There's 3 Italian clubs that are in for Juan Mata. Juan Mata's current contract expires in the summer. There's an option to trigger his contract for a further year. Mata doesn't get in the team now though. Earlier on this season he rejected an $18 million a year contract offer to play in Saudi Arabia. Mata's had a good career though with us. He's been at the club over 6 years. He's made over 200 appearances in all competitions and he's scored 50 goals. We got Juan Mata in a deal worth £40 million from Chelsea back in 2014. A lot of United fans have been saying we need to offload Anthony Martial in the summer because he isn't good enough. He's endured a very, very poor season. He's had chances, but he just hasn't converted them. But Solskjaer did actually say that he's been happy with Martial's work rate and he's backed him to rediscover his form. Martial was good last season. He was good in his debut season under Louis van Gaal. He's been at the club now over 5 years. I think it was last season Solskjaer gave him that number 9 shirt. If we sell Martial in the summer, we'd probably get around £30 million. Matic, there's a chance we'll sell him in the summer. He's not one of our first choice midfielders, but he still gets his chances, does Matic. He's done well in some games, but he's also enjoyed poor games. I've always had my strong reservations about him because he's always been a slow player and he's ageing up. He's been at the club almost 4 years. We got Matic in a deal worth £40 million from Chelsea back in 2017. Phil Jones, I want him to leave this year. I'm surprised he didn't leave in January, but Solskjaer came out and said that Phil Jones is going to be given a second chance. Jones doesn't get in our 11. He's been out of injury for over a year. This is Phil Jones' 10th season at the football club. He's been a long servant. He's the only outfield player that's still here from the Sir Alex Ferguson era. There's also been narratives of Axel Tuanzebe going out on loan because he doesn't really get in our 11. A lot of United fans have said we need to offload Lindelof because, quite frankly, Lindelof isn't good enough. He's too much of a liability, and Lindelof and Harry Maguire don't complement each other in our back line. I certainly prefer Eric Bailly to Victor Lindelof because Bailly and Maguire complement each other well, but my element of concern about Bailly is too injury prone, so in that aspect he is a liability. And Solskjaer said not so long ago that he's prepared to sell either De Gea or Dean Henderson in the summer because Solskjaer has been facing a goalkeeping dilemma. I think we need to sell De Gea in the summer. We'll get good money for him. We'd get from between 50 to 60 million, I think. De Gea is going to remain our number one for at least this season. De Gea's been a long servant. This is his 10th season at Manchester United. Solskjaer has already warned De Gea that his number one jersey is under threat. In the last couple of years, he's made calamitous mistakes, and reflecting on that, he's become a liability. But a few years ago, De Gea was regarded as the best goalkeeper in the world. He said the other week we was looking at Donnarumma from AC Milan as a possible replacement for De Gea. And Dean Henderson, I think he's done well in the games he's played in this season, and like I've said before, I think he's now reliable enough to become our number one goalkeeper because he has got that experience behind him. He endured 2 successful loans with Sheffield United. Before the start of this season, he signed a 6-year contract with the club. By the way, I just want to give you some more news on Paul Pogba. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has set a new Paul Pogba return date. Solskjaer is hopeful that Paul Pogba will return before the March international break. Paul Pogba has got a thigh injury. He's obviously not going to play in tonight's game against Crystal Palace. The last game Paul Pogba played was the 3-3 draw with Everton. Paul Pogba's done very, very well in recent months. He's been enjoying the best period in his Man United career since he rejoined. But he is a big miss because we do lack quality in that midfield without him. Earlier on this season, Pogba was out with an ankle injury, and he was out for the vast majority of last season with an ankle injury. So he's sustained a few injuries now at Man United. Now, like I updated you yesterday, Paul Pogba is open to staying at Manchester United after making a transfer U-turn. He's willing to discuss a new contract. Solskjaer suggested earlier on this season that Paul Pogba could sign a new contract, and Solskjaer said that Pogba is happy at the club and we've held talks regarding his future. Paul Pogba has had a long-running transfer saga. He's been relentlessly linked with a move to Real Madrid. PSG have been in for him, and his former club Juventus have been in for him. It said the other week we revealed our asking price for Paul Pogba, and it was £100 million. We won't get £100 million if we sell him in the summer. We'll probably get from between 60 to 70 million. Now, Mini Oriola, he did say that he's got no intentions of destabilising Paul Pogba this season at Man United. Mini Oriola also made an admission saying that he's working quietly on Paul Pogba's transfer to avoid offence, because obviously Mini Oriola's being criticised a lot and he doesn't have a good relationship with Man United. He made an announcement back in December regarding Paul Pogba, and Solskjaer was furious with Mini Oriola's announcement because it was just before the game against RB Leipzig in the Champions League. Earlier on this season, we triggered that 1-year extension on Paul Pogba's contract, so he's under contract with the club until June 2022. As it stands at the moment, he is our most expensive signing because we paid £89 million for him. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I think he deserves at least until May. I think he'll probably be given another season at the football club. Solskjaer has got to win a trophy at Manchester United to avoid the sack. We haven't won a trophy since 2017, and a club of our stature need to be winning trophies. You know, the Europa League is a chance of a trophy, and the FA Cup is a chance of a trophy. Obviously, we've disregarded the league, because obviously we're not going to win the league. Manchester City are. Our aim is the top 4 in the league, and I can almost assure that we will finish in the top 4. It would be a disaster if we actually finished out of the top 4. But I can almost assure that Ole is not the long-term manager for Man United. You know, if we was to sack Solskjaer at the end of this season or at some point next season, who would come in to replace him? At the moment, there's no one available. There's a few Man United fans that are Ole out, and Solskjaer's been criticised a few times as Man United manager because we've actually enjoyed very, very bad periods under him when he was very, very close to getting sacked. But there again, we've also enjoyed good periods. Told you my biggest concern about Solskjaer is his decision making, because he's tactically naive, especially in the big games. Yeah, okay, there's been some games where he has showed tactical flexibility, but he's got to show tactical flexibility persistently. Will Solskjaer sign a new contract with the club at the end of the season? Narrative said the other week that Solskjaer's future is in doubt because he admitted that nobody spoke to him over a new contract. But he says we'll wait until the end of the season to begin contract talks with Solskjaer, and it said we could offer him a new 2-year deal on one condition. That's if we qualify for the Champions League. Ole is into the final 18 months of his current contract. A lot of United fans did say that we give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer the job too soon. You know, maybe we should have waited until the end of that season, or we should have made a decision whether we're going to give him the job or not. But the main explanation we give him the job permanently back in March 2019 was reflecting on how well he did as the interim manager. He was the interim manager for 3 months and he won 14 games out of 19 in all competitions. You know, Ole has been Manchester United manager over 2 years now. And reflecting now on his been at the football club, he has gained some managerial experience and learned quite a bit on the job. But he hasn't got a proven pedigree as a manager, and that's another one of my element of concerns. Solskjaer knew when he'd taken over at Man United it was going to be a massive job. Despite him knowing the culture of the club, you know, he knew he had to come in and make the right signings. And yes, Solskjaer's made some good signings. He knew he had to come in and bring the consistency back. And we have seen consistency under Ole in, you know, certain periods. And he knew he had to come in and get rid of a lot of the deadwood, which he has done to his credit. So, do you think Ole is in a position that he shouldn't be in? You know, is the club too big for him to manage? You know, obviously, no time's going to tell. We've really, really struggled against the top 6 sides this season. In the vast majority of the games against the top sides, we've failed to score. That's very, very bad. But Solskjaer does deserve some credit in some aspects. You know, he's got us to the Europa League last 16, got us to the FA Cup quarter-finals, got us to the EFL Cup semi-final this season, lost 2-0 to Man City. Did well last season in his first full season at the club. Got us to 3 semi-finals, got us a 3rd place finish and got us qualification for the Champions League. We've got a very, very good away record in the Premier League. We haven't lost away from home in the Premier League for over a year. We haven't been brilliant at Old Trafford though this season. We've won more games at Old Trafford recently, but if you've noticed, all our defeats have come at Old Trafford this season. And to be fair as well to Ollie, there's been some games where he's got the best out of the team. Performances have improved in certain games, and he's improved players. And I also like the way that Ollie has promoted the youth, because he has brought more young players in and he's give the young players their chances. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is our 4th permanent manager since Ferguson retired. We've sacked 3 managers since Ferguson retired, and that was David Moyes. We sacked him after 10 months. We sacked Louis van Gaal after 2 years, despite him winning the FA Cup. And we sacked Jose Mourinho after 2.5 years, despite him winning 3 trophies in his first season. We have made mistakes since Ferguson left, and that's why we haven't been that consistent. I think a lot of the players we've brought in since Ferguson left haven't been the right calibre players for Man United, and brought around 37 players in since Ferguson left and spent over £1 billion. There's probably some players who we've brought in who we've let go who we shouldn't have let go. We shouldn't have let Lukaku go, and we shouldn't have let Herrera go. A lot of people said we did make a mistake recommending Woodward into the club and the Glazers. Ferguson made just one mistake, and that was ever recommending David Moyes in. But the main explanation Ferguson recommended Moyes in at that time is because there was both Scottish and, they had a lot of time for each other, basically. But like I've said to you, no one's going to replicate what Ferguson did, and no one's going to last as long as Ferguson did either. Ferguson endured a 27-year tenure with Man United, won 30-odd trophies, including 13 Premier Leagues. So Ferguson brought success to the club. To be honest with you, I don't see us winning a title under Ollie. I don't know when we'll next win a title. We haven't won the Premier League since 2013, so we haven't won it now for like 8 years. We do play Crystal Palace tonight. It's a must-win game for Man United, because top 4's not guaranteed as yet. We're going into this game on the back of a 0-0 draw with Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. Weren't the worst result, but I weren't happy with the result because that was a must-win game for Man United. It was just a boring game. The VAR penalty decision was the talking point of that game. It actually was a penalty though, because it hit Callum Hudson-Odoi's hand, and Solskjaer said after the match it was 100% nailed on penalty. It was Greenwood and Callum Hudson-Odoi tussling for the ball, and that's when it hit Odoi's hand. But to be honest with you, Chelsea are pretty good under Thomas Tuchel. Have not yet lost under Thomas Tuchel. So we knew it was obviously going to be a difficult game. There was some chances in the game as well, but wasn't the game I expected. We've got a good record, by the way, at Selhurst Park. We've won our last 4 league games at Selhurst Park. We won at Selhurst Park last season 2-0. Palace have actually won their last 2 visits to Old Trafford. They beat us 3-1 on the opening day of this season, and they beat us 2-1 at Old Trafford last season. So if Palace beat us tonight, it will be their first ever league double over us. Crystal Palace are 13th in the Premier League. We're 17 points in front of them. As you all know, Solskjaer provided us with an update on Cavani in his press conference. He said Cavani could be involved. Cavani has been training. Cavani's been a miss. He has missed our last 4 games because he's been out with a muscle injury. We know obviously Pogba's not going to be involved. Phil Jones is still out. Juan Mata, he's out for a couple of weeks. So there you go. So anyway guys, that's everything to update you for today. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon.